Hey everyone, my name is Anders, and today we're going to go over the Q1 earnings release for Prolibis. It's always good to look at these releases to gauge how the company is doing and get an idea of what they have in store for the future. That said, I think I've listened to most of these quarterly earnings calls for Prolibis and other companies for the past few years. We're actually going to be talking about NCSoft in another video, but in these calls, statements are always made precisely to reflect what we see on the report. It is never going to be a negative outlook, of course. Even if they lose money, no investor wants to hear the company's CFO saying they had a net loss this quarter because they were incompetent and had no idea what they were doing. That's not going to happen. That doesn't inspire confidence, so you don't tend to see that. And as a result, you get a lot of the same old sentiments, a lot of the same old statements. Every single call, you kind of know what they're going to say. However, this was an interesting call. Earnings are down slightly year over year for Prolibis and up since last quarter. Revenue from their mobile games has been looking good, but they didn't give us a breakdown to see which games are pulling most of their weight. So we are going to be assuming that it is their main IP, Black Desert on PC, Black Desert on console, and Black Desert Mobile on mobile devices. We know they own an Eve mobile game, and we know that they also have a subsidiary company that released Black Clover M, which from what I hear ended up being a decent game. They also announced a new game in the Eve IP called Project Awakening. This has been revealed before in GDC. It is a blockchain technology game. Personally, when I hear blockchain, I kind of tune that out. I just don't see the appeal, and I really don't think players want that in 2024. A lot of people also hear blockchain and think, okay, that's cryptocurrency stuff, right? And crypto isn't as popular as it used to be. That said, this isn't necessarily a crypto game as far as I can tell. So once we know more about the game, I will cover it, let you guys know. But for now, it is entering a beta phase 3 starting May 21 that you can sign up for if you are at least a little bit interested in what the Eve developers have been working on. Console revenue is again just 5% of overall revenue for Prolibis, which is not surprising. I think their focus on having their new generation games like Crimson Desert, DokeV being on console at launch is an attempt to bolster their console revenue, their console audience as well. Those games with their new engines are supposed to be developed in a way that current generation consoles and future consoles can handle running the game and not have multiple issues or limitations like Black Desert currently has on console. Operating costs went up due to salary increases and more staff hires in the company. Profit quarter over quarter has been positive, and for the rest of the year they're holding the Heidel Ball in France for the 10-year celebration. Black Desert on PC is going to have War of the Roses. That's going to be relaunched as an upgraded version of what we saw before with changes reflecting user feedback. Part 2 of Land of the Morning Light will release and be showcased this summer. Black Desert on console will get more improvements and a remaster for newer generation consoles. Black Desert Mobile will continue getting improvements. Black Desert is also coming to China this year pending a license renewal. They said on the call they filled out all the paperwork, they sent it out, and now they're just waiting for confirmation. We've seen some leaks as well of the censorship with the China version of the game. Eve Online will launch an expansion in June. Eve Vanguard is in the final months of testing and will continue to improve before launch. Project Awakening will continue getting beta tests until launch. Eve Galaxy Conquest is being improved to reflect user feedback and will launch in more regions in May. Crimson Desert will start full-scale marketing soon. They will have demos available for users at Gamescom this year. Sounds like they will also make the demo available to a wide range of audiences so as many people can try the game before it launches. They actually talked about DokeV for once. Development for that is accelerating now that Crimson Desert development is ending, but no further information has been provided on DokeV or even Plan 8, which is an MMO that was announced years ago. Crimson Desert is again labeled as an open world single player RPG. This is what the game is, and they're sounding pretty confident about the game's success after initial feedback from internal and closed door demos. The game is in the final stages of optimization and polish. They're aiming to focus on in-game content and fortifying the open world immersive feel. Marketing is supposed to end near the end of the year, so we can infer right now from that they're looking at the end of the year or Q1 2025 for a release of the game, more than likely the release of Crimson Desert will be in the first half of 2025, but again, this is just what they're alluding to. They have not and will not tell us a release date until probably Gamescom when they show off the demo. They mentioned console technical limitations and having to overdevelop to compensate for the aging console hardware as one of the reasons for delays. Preliminary feedback that they got from users in Korea who played the demo or a demo at G-Star says Crimson Desert is set to be one of the most ambitious and high quality games ever released by a Korean company, and that's pretty high praise. They seem pretty confident, and from the gameplay trailer they released in the past, it does seem like the game has potential to be an amazing game. DokeV, as of what we know, was an online creature collection game, but we know next to nothing after that, and things could have changed drastically since we saw the initial gameplay videos. Plan 8 is an MMO shooter that we know very little about, so not much more to go on there. Like I said earlier, BDO is releasing in China this year if they can get the Chinese gaming license approved. This doesn't really affect you directly if you are a player right now of Black Desert, but this is a huge deal. China is a massive market, but it is also very strict about who gets to release games in their market, especially for Korean companies. Pearl Abyss has been lobbying to get Chinese market access for years. They managed to get a Chinese gaming license for Black Desert Mobile a few years ago, even gave them an exclusive class in Wukong, but Sino-Korean relations tend to be up and down depending on the year, so it really depends on the timing of things. China also had a gaming license freeze in the past few years, and even now, though they are lessening restrictions, it's going to be difficult for a foreign company to get one of these licenses. Pearl Abyss established relations with China and a Chinese gaming publisher for the release of Black Desert Online back in 2018, believe it or not, so that's a long time ago. That's a long-term negotiation they've been having. They feel pretty confident that the license will come through and they will be ready to launch the game in China with some success. The censorship I mentioned are things like Hex Sanctuary, which is typically a skeleton area, will not be skeletons anymore. Any blood that appeared in the game will not appear in red, for example. Typical changes you see when games get released in China. We'll see how the game does when it releases there. BDO is still Pearl Abyss's top contributing IP, with North America and European regions bringing in the bulk of the revenue for the company, though we did see a drop of how much of their revenue is coming from the West in the last quarter at least. For EVE Online, CCP was bought out years ago by Pearl Abyss. The game is now something like 20 years in service, something crazy like that, and despite them having no content releases in the last quarter, they produced stable revenue regardless. It looks like Pearl Abyss are heavily invested in the success of Crimson Desert, and if the game releases and does well, I think good things are coming, but if it doesn't do well, after so many years of waiting and delays, I don't know what they're going to do. BDO is not going to be around forever. I think they've been lucky similar MMOs have not existed or launched, or if they have launched, they've been terrible, but that could change. Who knows? I don't think they can just expect BDO to carry them in the future, but that's my opinion, and that's all the relevant information from the Q1 earnings call from Pearl Abyss. Let me know your thoughts on Crimson Desert. Are you still excited for the game? Project Awakening being a blockchain game, do you think that's something you would want to try? Let me know in the comments, and as always, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.